Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
As always, the Ramble is sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield. If you're a growing business and you want support to continue that growth, they are the people to speak to. Thank you for joining the team for their continued support for the Ramble. Today's Ramble is also sponsored by High Point Access. Thank you to them for their support. They are your number one stop shop for all your working at heights and roofing needs. If you mention the Blades Ramble when booking any works with them, you'll also get 10% off. Spawn! Welcome back to the Blades Ramble. What is happening, Blades? I am, of course, Jimmy. Apologies, I got caught there. How are we all? How are we all this evening? Thank you for joining me. This is the warm-up. We've parked it. Look, we won. We won. So I had my little rant on 90 after 90. Thank you to everybody that either understood or didn't understand. And I respect everybody's point of view, because how bad have we got it when we're second in the league, 3 points clear of third? Not bad at all, have we? And what are we complaining about? We're complaining because we've got too many quality options that we can't find the right positions for. Wow. All I needed was a little bit. I needed that catharsis with you guys to talk me through it. Man Mountain talked a bit of sense into me. Billy talked a bit of sense into me. A lot of people in the comment section. And I've read comments afterwards as well. So, absolutely right. I've given myself a shake. And hopefully, you're sort of now in the same place where you're thinking, move on. We take the 3 points. We might have nicked them, but we're taking them because it's necessary at this stage of the season to do so. Into 15 games to go. 15 games to go, and they will come thick and fast now. So we've got already, we're here again for another game. Middlesbrough at home, really tough fixture. I always really like the look of Middlesbrough. I thought they strengthened really well in January, but we have been able to get a proper assessment from the guys at the BORO Breakdown. And I want to thank Johnny and the team, because they're always willing to jump on and help us out in terms of getting to know what their team's about. If you don't already follow the BORO Breakdown and you enjoy a more analytical approach to club football, the championship, they like to break things down and go into real intricate detail, and they're very good at it. There's Johnny, Dana and Tom. They do really, really good stuff. So go and support them over at BORO Breakdown, and they are today's channel that are giving us a Ramble rundown.
Hey Jimmy and everyone at Blades Ramble. Johnny here from the BORO Breakdown podcast. I'm here to give you an update on Middlesbrough's season so far. A bit of apathy setting in. We are not in a position where we should be. Middlesbrough could and should be a lot more comfortable in where they are in the championship table so far this season. Realistically, we should be 4th or 5th, but BORO find themselves 7th just due to themselves throwing games away. Defensive error after defensive error after defensive error. Going forward, we're fantastic. We're scintillating. We create plenty of chances like you've probably seen Middlesbrough play this season. But at the other side of the pitch, too many individual errors. Middlesbrough are top of the table for individual errors, leading to a goal. And that leads us to be 7th. On the face value that you go, wow, that is some really good bit of business. To bring in Illan Jr., I think is a really exciting signing. Morgan Whittaker's been, well, only 12 months ago was touted on a 15-20 million pound move, and you get him for 5 million, rising to 7. Iheanacho has good experience in the championship and also played for Man City many years ago as well. And then you look at Ryan Giles, who had his most successful season at BORO, come back, and then Mark Travers, an excellent goalkeeper at Bournemouth, come and join us as well towards the end of the season. So on that side of things, you go, yeah, good bit of business. But on the flip side of it, you know, you see Middlesbrough lack in really key positions. Middlesbrough now have 3 centre-backs that are fit. Even though we are light from the centre-back position and also in that right-back position where we only have Luke Ayling fit, people have left us in good positions too. Isaiah Jones going for 5 million to Luton, which I think was a good deal for the club. Emmanuel Latilaf went for a club record fee at over £22 million. But overall, an okay window, but we still needed depth in really key areas. Like I mentioned, on that centre-back role, that right-back role, and you could have probably added in centre defensive midfield as well. There is a lot of tension building for Michael Carrick at the moment, because you can look at all of the underlying data and see Middlesbrough be in second position in expected goal difference, but from expected point side of things, should be 4th or 5th, but we're 7th, and that has come from so many individual errors, like I alluded to earlier. We're top of the table for that. That's where BORO fans get frustrated, because we are doing the same errors over and over again, and that is insanity. And I think apathy is slowly starting to set in, because these things just aren't getting fixed. And how much can you really blame a manager for that? I think sometimes you can if they are recurring. Therefore, Middlesbrough are frustrated with Carrick right now just because of how things are. Look, he still has the highest win percentage rate for any BORO manager, still most goals per game than any other BORO manager since World War II. There's a lot to love about his side, but defensively it has to improve. And I think if we don't get playoffs, people will start to naturally call for his head, given that Middlesbrough are really like a 5th or 6th team. You look at all the type of metrics that you want from a finance side of things, revenue, on the pitch sales, all this kind of thing, everything. If you pretty much put everything together, Middlesbrough are about 5th or 6th team in the Championship, but 7th, so it's underperformance. Therefore, playoffs are pretty much the minimum that Middlesbrough really need to achieve this season. So if it doesn't do that, I'm very intrigued to see how BORO shape up in the summer. I think we'll go to that 4-2-3-1. I can't see us changing it. We've only really changed it once or twice to move to that 3 at the back in really big games. But we played that 4-2-3-1 against yourselves earlier in the season. We had some success. Therefore, I think we'll stick with that as well. And I can't really see us changing it just due to the options that we have. Look, I would have said Ben Doak, but he's currently out injured with a thigh injury for 5 weeks. So that is a big miss for us. But we still have a load of attacking options, right? You know, you've got Delano Bergzorg, who's been fantastic on that left-hand side. Ilan Jr. might come in. Morgan Whittaker is an option who's still finding his feet. Tommy Conway, really good as well. I really enjoy Finn Azaz, but he's been off the boil as of late. But I think there's one player who I would probably pick out, I think, who is deserving to be picked out. And I think that's Hayden Hackney recently, because of his turnaround performances. Aidan Morris really helps Hayden Hackney because it gives him the freedom to play. But once he does have that freedom, Hackney, he really drives the ball forward. He gets himself in good positions and he gets Middlesbrough up the pitch really well. So he's one player who I think everyone should really look out for. Look at our right back position. Luke Ayling got bars against Sunderland and is slowly starting to get found out. And I think with Morgan Whittaker coming in, who is not as strong defensively, I think he gets exposed. I think he does get exposed quite a lot. I was going to say, if he might get exposed, he probably will get exposed on that right hand side. And also on the left hand side too, Ryan Giles, who's not really known for his defensive output. I still think he's relatively okay, but I know teams will want to target that just based on how Middlesbrough play. Not just individually, but as a group, we are a bit of a weak link defensively because of our own doing and output. So there's a few things to go on that side of things. I think both teams will look to nullify each other. And looking at Sheffield United this season, that long ball at the channels where you target the last game, I still think you would look to try and do a very similar thing. You did create a couple of chances at the Riverside and got in behind, and we are to be got at. And how do I see Middlesbrough playing? I think we'll try and dominate the centre of the park. We'll look to try and break through the lines. Very similar to the last game. I think the first goal is super important in this game. I'm just very intrigued by Sheffield United, to be honest. I think they're an interesting side to watch because on one side of things, you are clinical when you need to be, and then secondly, you are short. You can defend really well, like Chris Wilder teams tend to do so. How I see a weakness in the last game was just how Middlesbrough were occupying that middle a lot better than what Sheffield United were. And when you do dominate that centre of the pitch, you tend to have a lot of freedom, especially on that transition. And I think that could be a position where Middlesbrough can occupy it quite a lot. Look, I think you're a very strong team. You have some fantastic quality all around the pitch. So there's no real glaring weaknesses for Sheffield United. But in the game and how systems work and on both sides of things, I just think that centre of the park would be one position to watch. So score prediction, like I alluded to earlier, I think it'll be a 1-goal game, and I have to opt with my own team. Unfortunately, I've got to. Right, I can't just say Sheffield United win, surely not. So I'm going to go a 1-0 Middlesbrough win, but it'll be very, very tight. But if Sheffield United do score, I think it will come from a BORO mistake. Just search for the BORO Breakdown podcast on your podcast provider, YouTube, and just search for BORO Breakdown on all the social media platforms, and you'll be able to find us there. For my predictions at the end of the season, I think Sheffield United get automatic promotion with Leeds.
Go, Johnny, go, 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 go.
And for BORO, we're our own downfall. But I still think we'll get playoffs. I think we'll finish 6th. I said this at the start of the season, and I still think it now. So we'll finish 6th. We'll probably play Burnley in the semi-final, hopefully beat them, and then probably get beat off Sunderland in the playoff final. Guys, thank you so much for having me on, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
Top man, Johnny. Top man. I first met him at the Football Content Awards, where I think they picked up an award as well at the same time as we did. Really, really good podcast. So check them out if you're interested, as I say, in a more analytical view of the game. Really, really good stuff. So thank you to Johnny for taking the time to do that for us. I'm going to jump into comments straight away tonight and go with David starting us off, saying, "Evening, Jimmy and fellow followers of the Ramble. Fingers crossed for a better performance against Borough. Like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up, please. Up all the Rambles, up the blades." Thank you, pal. Cowboy Paul Young, I've been pushing with that name, but I know you like to be Tex, don't you? So we'll go with Tex, mate. We'll go with Tex. Tex says BBD on the left, Rack on the right with Cannon or Campbell up front. Interesting. We'll get to my team soon. I have actually released my team as its own little video on YouTube for those of you that may or may not have seen it. If you haven't seen it and you wanted to, or you wish you'd have caught it earlier, make sure make sure your notification bell is on. Push past it, Jimmy. Push past it, Jimmy. So make sure your notification bell is on and you subscribe so you never miss a ramble, because we could be on at any time now, couldn't we? We could be on at any time of the day or night. Could just drop some random little videos for you, like I did this morning at 10 o'clock when I randomly dropped Ramble on the Road. It was our second Ramble on the Road. Lee has taken us with him to the Sheffield United Portsmouth game. Unbelievable. Really, really good. I'm delighted with how both of those have gone so far. It is going to be something we continue on the channel. Thank you again to Lee and Jord before that, Jord Motson, for their contributions. Good luck to Kieran, who's going to be doing the Blades Borough game. I'll meet you in Triple Point beforehand, pal. And yeah, best of luck. You'll be absolutely great. They're really good. I've really enjoyed that addition to the channel. So yeah, and if you do too, please make sure you comment on that video, just so they know, because obviously it's the first time that they've certainly led on a video. So it's good for them to see any feedback that you've got. Please keep it positive or constructive. Thank you very much. Tex says, Hamer in the 10 with Peck and one of Sousa or Hamza in the middle. Stop using square pegs in round holes, please. Interesting. Phil Oakley, good evening, pal. Hope you're well. Evening, Jimmy. The next 4 games are crucial. If we keep on with the awful style of football we've been playing, we could lose all of them. Wilder has been backed and now has to step up. That's fair. That's fair. And I think he will. I don't think anybody was upset with the quality of player that we brought in, which were obviously identified by Wilder and the recruitment team. It's just now making them all fit together into it. And I'm back with my positive or optimistic head on, whichever way you want to do it. I would say it's just a general sort of decent outlook on how we're second in the league, aren't we? I have had a word with myself, like I said. Daz says, can't get any worse trying to get all new signings in at any cost. I think the team you picked is stronger and more balanced up the Ramble, up the Blades. We'll have a look at that in a minute, Daz. Thank you, pal. Jason says, we definitely need a much better performance against Borough or we'll get a good hiding. I'm afraid we're not at the races yet. Yet again on Saturday. Up the Blades, up the full-time Ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Matthew says, if we stand back and look at the table, it's amazing what we've done. We started on -2. Absolutely right. Well said, pal. And with no team, we are second in the with no team, we're second in the table and the same points as Leeds, who are meant to be good for this, too good for this league. We've got the most wins in the league as well. Do not worry. We never do it the easy way. Laugh out loud. We don't. We're Sheffield United, aren't we? It's never been, other than the League One season, the 100-point season, I can't remember another season where it's been, and it doesn't happen often to many clubs, so we can't begrudge this, but it's never been a layup of we cantered to the league title. The scary thing is we've done this second, third gear, so I don't think we've hit first gear yet. And look where we are. I think you mean top gear, as in like 4th or 5th gear. Yeah, no worries, pal. No, I completely agree. So Matthew choosing to be positive and looking on where we could potentially be with the players at our disposal. Love that. Love that. Phil says, Cooper, Gilchrist holding Jackie Longthroat and Burrows, Sousa and Hamer in the middle, Raksaki, O'Hare, Brereton, Diaz and Campbell up front, up the Blades, up the Ramble. See this? Do you know what the beauty of this is, Phil? Because I really like that team. I know it's got Jack Robinson in it. Somebody, a very respectful swipe back at me about why am I constantly on at Jack Robinson, and that it's fair because I am, and I'm conscious of it, and I need to potentially. You're going to see my team in a minute, which won't surprise you, but I do think because and it's stepping back and seeing me dad with McBurney a lot of this. To be honest, I do think you get to a point with some players where you just cannot see some of the good that they do either, and that is a fault in me as a fan, as an observer. If I came in with a clean slate and I didn't have any previous history of Robinson dropping a clanger here or a clanger there, which he hasn't done for some time, to be honest. I know he's not been brilliant, but maybe I'd cut him a bit more slack if I could get that residual memory out of my head. So fair play, and I can't remember who it was that said it because I've read a load of comments today. Thank you to everybody that takes part and joins in. But it's a fair comment. It's a fair comment that I am sometimes a little bit too harsh on Jack Robinson. And I don't mind anybody coming back at me and challenging what I say, because we say it all the time. Mine's just an opinion, just like yours. So this is what I love about you all coming on and having the right to your say. But what I was going to say about Phil's team was there'll be some people that pick this exact team because it's a very strong team. There'll be other people that probably drop 3 of these players and bring in 3 others because they think they can make a better side with different players. So that in itself tells you about the strength in depth, doesn't it? There was a couple of weeks ago, coming into over the Christmas period, we could have all named. I remember doing, because obviously I do my lineups before every game, and a couple of times I had to say it picks itself, unfortunately, this. We cannot change anything. We stuck with Peck and Tom Davis in the middle because we had no one else. No Sousa. Chowdhury wasn't here then. Arblaster's out injured. It was Peck and Sousa. Shackleton's out injured. You know, when we needed a midfield change, we were bringing Harrison Burrows into the centre, and that were only 3 games ago. So, absolutely right that we acknowledge that we've now got strength in depth, which, as I say, this team of Phil's I really like. You'll get to see mine in a minute. Rob Kerr says, I get why folk were upset about Portsmouth, but we seem to have forgot that 1, this is a 3-game week. 2, we still have several players back from injury or just getting up to speed. And, drum roll while you keep me waiting, Rob, I can't see where your next comment is. I may have to join it up later. No, I haven't seen a further comment from you. But your first 2 points are certainly right. It is a 3-game week, and that's why I think there will be change. I think there'd have been changes anyway, just due to the performance against Portsmouth. Obviously, he brought 3 subs on early doors to try and change things up, so it wasn't working. I think there would have been changes following that game anyway, but it lends itself nicely to it being a 3-game week. I think Brereton Diaz drops out because he's not been what's the word? He's not been match fit to the point where he's been playing a significant number of games at Southampton, and maybe he comes out for a little bit of a breather because it's such close games in close proximity. He's just won. And as I said, we'll jump into my team in a minute. David says, BBD on the left, share back in. Oh, hair back in, that'll be. Jezran on the, or Desraki, as my dad likes to call him. Desraki on the right and Hamer next to Souza. A lot of people liking that Hamer next to Souza combo. I'll be honest, I was very, very close to putting that together, as Eagle-Eyed Scott noticed, because I put my first team, I redid it. So I put a team out, which again shows the strength in depth. But I put a team out earlier and then I released the video. And then I'd changed it. I'd already changed it, but I forgot to change the picture of the team at the end. So Scott got to see the team that I originally was going to go with, which was actually Brereton Diaz on the left and Hamer in the 8. But then I've changed it, which you'll see in a minute. Matthew says, have you seen Connor's prediction? How many points they will get in the next 5 games? He said 13 out of 15. They'll beat Watford, draw to Sunderland, win against West Brom, and beat Portsmouth. Honestly, Matthew, he makes me laugh, that boy. Like, he's a mate of mine, and it's wow. 13. Thing is, if you go to Conor McGilligan channel, where it's a channel for everybody and it's championship chat and stuff like that, it'll be a really tough game against Watford. It'll be a really tough game against West Brom, signing Adam Armstrong. I think we might get about 7 points out of these next few games if we're lucky. It's 2 different people, honestly. No wonder that I want both channels to stream at the same time, and I bet it can happen because they're 2 different people. 2 different people. Liam says, evening, pal. Hope you well. My team for Borough is Cooper, Gilchrist, Holding, Anel, Burrows, Peck and Vinny, Raksaki, O'Hare and Hamer, and Cannon up top. Well, I certainly like the look of that, Liam. Certainly like the look of that. Evening, Jimmy. Says, Nige, not much to say. I think we covered it all yesterday. So, no, let's move on to the next game and get behind the lads. We forget that it's a new team that's added another 7 new signings. Yeah, ultimately it's 5, isn't it? But still that's half the team. Half the team are brand new. So it was always going to be clunky and disjointed. Nige says, up the Blades, up the Ramble, up behind the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Harry says, Borough have very weak fullbacks defensively. Giles and Ayling. Yeah, Johnny pointed that out. I think that's true. Playing Raksaki and BBD on each side could exploit that with Hamer and Vinny in behind them, O'Hare in the 10 and Cannon up front, up the Blades, up the full-time Ramble. Top man. Charlie says, hi, Jimmy. I just think we all need a little perspective from yesterday's game. Wilder said he and his staff will hold a review. So let's hope that something comes out of this that pushes on to do better performances, pushes us on to better performances. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Thank you, Charlie, one of our long-time Platinum Ramblers. Very much appreciated. Riff's going to give me his team in a minute. He's teasing me because it's further down. Cooper, Gilchrist, Anel. Cooper, Gilchrist, Robinson, Anel, Burrows. Who's his back 4. Vinny and Hamza as a double pivot defensive midfielders. Interesting. O'Hare right midfield. Hamer left midfield. Pecker's a number 8. Brereton Diaz on the left. Oh, centre forward. Basically a 4-5-1. 4-2-3-1 with the 3 ahead of DMs being more central. Okay, I understand that. So they're not as stretched as they have been previously. Seems a nice chap. Mike, bigger than his head, but nice chap. Is that... Are you going to allow yourself to be out-mic'd, Jimmy? Johnny, I can't comment on his setup, mate. I don't know what works for him, but he's a really nice kid. Really nice bloke. Ian says, evening, Jimmy. Time to put a couple of the new shiny toys back in the box until needed. The nucleus of the team should be the ones that got us this far. Our starting 11 has been a strong one. The signings aren't significantly better to warrant such wholesale changes. They strengthened the bench, which was the aim. Use them when necessary. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe, says Ian. Sky says, I think we can sort the issues with the personnel around the pitch with our options, but centre-back is a real problem. Anel's not clicking with anyone. Holding needs a few games to adjust. Do we have that luxury? Gilchrist is unproven there, and unfortunately, our best centre-back at the moment is Robbo. Proves my point. Oh, Just United, the new YouTube channel just released about Sheffield United. It's Ricky, our Platinum Rambler Ricky. I'll say that 3 times fast. Hey, Jimmy, I just want to say thank you for your help and inspiration to help me achieve something I never thought possible. Also, up the Ramble, I think Whittaker will be key for them. Good incomings for that. Yeah, they've had some really good incomings. And Ricky, you've done it all yourself, pal. And I hope you go from strength to strength, mate. So keep your eyes out for Just United, a new YouTube channel covering all things Blades. So that'll be really good. And right, let's jump in now to Born to be Wilder, because we're all talking about what teams we're going to have. What team would you go with? What team would I go with? Well, this is released earlier today, but for those of you that haven't seen it, this is Born to be Wilder, my team.
Born to be wild.
Tell.
So this is Born to be Wilder, and this is my team to face BORO on Wednesday night. This is the team that's going to get back on the horse. No more disjointed performances. There's balance to this team. Let me know what you think in the comments. Here we go. Michael Cooper in goal. Absolutely. Best goalkeeper in the championship. We say it every time. What a player he is. Without him, I think it would have been a very different result against Portsmouth. It cannot be underestimated how important a really strong goalkeeper is. And I think we've got the best in the league here. With the first of a few changes, here comes the first big one. Alfie Gilchrist is back in at right back. I think we are going to be tested, certainly down the sides. And he, I believe, is our best defensive fullback. I know he's had poor form in the last couple of outings that he's had. He's now got some real competition in both Femi Sariki coming back soon and Harry Clark. It's up to him now to make this shirt his own. There's a real battle on for that right back spot, and I think we need a more defence-minded fullback for this game. Next to him is Rob Holding. Yes, I'm bringing Rob Holding in. I don't believe in sentiment. And I understand what people are saying in terms of Robinson wasn't the poorest defender against Portsmouth, and he wasn't. But he comes out of my team because I think Rob Holding, and alongside him, Anel Ahmedhodzic, who hasn't looked himself since Harry Suter left. But I think that we could look at hopefully forming a similar partnership here with these two till the end of the season. Go with your best players, and that is what I'm doing here. Harrison Burrows returns at full-back. I thought Sam McCallum did really well when he came on the other day, but I thought, again, Harrison Burrows was harshly singled out, really, to a degree, in terms of his performance against Portsmouth. I didn't think he was that bad at all. So he keeps his place at left back. I still think he's the best left back in the division. Some difficult choices then moving forward, because we have got a lot of options and we've got a lot of good players. Vinny Souza stays in the side by the skin of his teeth, to be honest. Could have gone with either of them to come out of the side, but Vinny Souza just stays in. He needs to up his game. He needs to get back to that sort of pre-injury form that we've seen from him this season. He didn't have anywhere near the sort of impact we expected against Portsmouth, and he needs to improve. He's now got Hamza Chowdhury breathing down his neck for his spot, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to have one spot for the defensive midfielder. I don't think you can ignore this man. The way he came on and changed the game. I think all the substitutes changed the game against Portsmouth, but I think this lad has earned a start. And it's unfortunate for Hamza Chowdhury, who drops out. Sidney Peck gets his place in my side. I think he's earned it. He gets it, and that's not a reason to pick someone, because Jack Robinson gets it too. But I thought Peck were outstanding in the way he changed the game, the way he helped transition the forward play. I think he managed to get a grip of the game and bring the ball out of defence, started to break the lines when he came on. Really pleased with Sidney Peck, and he's earned his place in this team. Long may it continue. On the left-hand side, I'm sticking with Gustavo Hamer. I don't think this is his natural position, but I'm trying my best to get players into positions where we know they can perform well. Although I think he's best as a 10 and potentially an 8, who are you taking out of the side? Gus Hamer started on the left against Portsmouth, scored a really good goal that he'd made on his own from that left-hand side, and then also was involved heavily in the build-up to the second goal where Brewster played in Raksaki. So Hamer stays in the team on the left-hand side of midfield. On the right-hand side, another man who came on and made a difference is Jezrin Raksaki. He also comes in. I think it gives us that balance on either side. I know Hamer isn't a legit winger, but Raksaki is. And I think having the ability to cut inside from both wings, particularly when you've got a lone striker, allows you to play it into feet a little bit more, be a little bit more intricate in and around the box. Jezrin Raksaki comes in, the match winner against Portsmouth, earns a start against Middlesbrough on Wednesday night. Back in the 10 position is Callum O'Hare. I think we really struggle with that gap between deep defensive midfielders, just straight up to strikers, essentially, against Portsmouth. We are now packing that midfield a little bit more. We're having Vinny sitting, we're having Sidney Peck a little bit further forward, we're having Callum O'Hare in the 10, and we're having Raksaki and Hamer who can cut inside and just beef up that midfield a little bit. I think midfield battle is going to be key against Middlesbrough. This is the formation I think works best, going back to our 4-2-3-1 that's proven so successful this season. And up front, I'm sticking with the man, Tommy Cannon. Look, I know it's going to be debatable. A lot of you may want Tyrese Campbell involved, and I understand that too. Love Tyrese Campbell. I just think he's sometimes better as an impact sub, and I do have faith in Tom Cannon as well. It's not a sympathy vote. It's not because he's a £10 million man. It's because I think he could well be our main striker for years to come. I'm seeing a lot of nice little intricacies from Tom Cannon. Maybe he made a couple of wrong decisions against Portsmouth. The early shot where he lost his footing, time where he went through and could have played Raksaki in was maybe at the wrong choice to take it on his own. But he deserves to stay in the team for me. And I think we give him a chance and he goes from strength to strength. So there's some big decisions here. I've left out Hamza Chowdhury. I've left out Harry Clark and I've left out Brereton Diaz, 3 big loan players for us. Not everybody will be able to make the squad, and I think Harry Clark maybe sits out this game, like Gilchrist had to against Portsmouth. Harsh on both, but Brereton Diaz and Hamza Chowdhury offer us real strength from the bench. Can you imagine bringing on Ben Brereton Diaz? Callum O'Hare comes off on 65 minutes. Hamer goes into the 10, and Brereton Diaz comes in on the left. Vinny Souza, after giving 70 minutes of pure up and down engine work, Hamza Chowdhury comes on to replace him in that holding midfield role. It's strength in depth. It's what we haven't had for such a long time. And I think this is the team that gives us the best chance against Borough. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It may well be a different team to mine, but that was Born to be Wilder.
Born to be wild.
Tell.
So what do you think? What do you think to my team? And thank you to Scott for helping spot the deliberate mistake, or not so deliberate mistake, if we're honest. So that was my team. I want to know your teams as well. I appreciate some people have started getting theirs in as well. Chris says, if we play as slow as we did on Saturday, it's going to be a long night. Can't see us being as bad. So hopefully I'm going for a sneaky 2-1 Blades. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Please like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Appreciate that. Jake Barman. Jake, before I read your comment, are you Jake the Barman? Or is Barman your surname? I'm just interested, that's all. Hey, Jimmy, my team for Borough: Cooper, Gilchrist and L, Holding and Burrows, Souza and Hamer, BBD, O'Hare and Raksaki. Okay. Campbell back to 4-2-3-1. No shoehorning in the new lads just because put out the best team possible. Absolutely right. JD says his back 5 is obviously Cooper. Then the back 4 is Alfie, Anel, Holding and Burrows. Same as me, but I think obviously Holding and Anel a bit other way around, I would have thought. Michael says the good news is that Burnley are still in the FA Cup, which will lead to a backlog of the league matches for them. Yeah, that's good. That's good. More games for them to not score in. But while we're talking about the FA Cup, Plymouth Argyle knocking Liverpool out of the FA Cup today. Absolutely brilliant. I love stuff like that. Riff says Hamza's been brought in for the big games like this. Double defensive midfielders, not for weaker sides at home, but needs that someone they can pass the ball forward and drop deeper. I don't mind the 2 DMs sitting, Riff, if we've got a 10. If we've got Callum O'Hare playing, it just brings everybody closer in. I know with your team, you had the wide players tucked further inside like Hamer, but I don't mind it. I really like Chowdhury as a player. It just don't look like they work very well together. And it's very small sample size, very early days. So I'm not against it. I won't be upset if he picks them. JD says Cooper, Alfie, Holding, Anel, Burrows, Souza and Peck in the middle, Raksaki, Gus and BBD, and Campbell up top. So no O'Hare for JD because he wants Gus in the number 10, which I understand. Campbell for Cannon, which is absolutely right. Horses for courses, isn't it? Again, I won't be upset if he picks Tyrese Campbell. Brereton Diaz. I think Brereton Diaz will miss out due to, and to be honest, he's been poor last couple of games, probably. Well, no, to be fair, that's harsh. He got the match winner against Derby, didn't he? So he weren't that poor. But I thought he were poor against Portsmouth. I do. Need to pack out the midfield, like Johnny alluded to. I agree, Riff. I agree. I think it's going to be tough in the middle. Leeds didn't take the FA Cup too seriously as they made 10 changes when they lost at home to Millwall, says Michael. It would be good to get Connor's take, as I'm sure he just prefers to concentrate on the league. He sent me a message. Well, he sent me a voice note today saying they were absolutely awful. They were absolutely awful. I don't think he's too upset. It's unlikely that a championship team ever goes on to win the FA Cup, but it's nice to have a cup run. We enjoyed our cup run under Eki. We've had cup runs in the past that can bleed into your league form as well. There's a lot of sort of rhetoric around, oh, well, we want Leeds to stay in the cup and we want Burnley to stay in the cup because there's more games. And that is true. There will be certainly more wear and tear on their squad, if you like. But if they continue winning and that winning formula, then it can sometimes build momentum for them as well. So it's not a bad thing Leeds losing, I don't think. I appreciate they're out of the cup, and I appreciate we're nowhere near the first 11 probably. But having said that, they've lost a game, which has sort of, unless they can sort of split their heads in terms of split their mindset. Well, that wasn't a first team. That was first reserves, if you like. A win is a win, and a loss is a loss. Hi, Jim. Hope you're well, says John. Bad day at the office yesterday, but we still won. Agreed. Josh says, on reflection, it's probably Wilder who takes the hit for the performance, but also him who takes the praise for changing things. Yes, that's fair, Josh. I'm sure he'll get it right when it really matters. Up the Blades. Well, this is a big test in it because we've struggled against good opposition this year. And when he's been asked about that in press conferences and things like that, he's sort of poo-pooed it a little bit. He's sort of, well, look, it don't matter who you beat. It's how many points you accrue at the end of the season compared to the other teams. And he's absolutely right. But it would be lovely to get one over on people that are close by. And I know Middlesbrough aren't anywhere near us, to be honest, in the league. I know they are in terms of places. They're, 3 places away from us, 4 places, maybe even 5. But points, I think there's 17 points between us. It's a huge gulf. We'd have to lose 6 on the bounce, and they have to win 6 on the bounce for them to get anywhere near us. It's, yeah. Robinson isn't a centre-half. Fact, says Jamie. Well, I think some would argue that who are our better centre-half against Portsmouth, but the bar was very low, I have to say. Dino says you can't just chuck new players in and pick the lads. You can't just chuck new players in, pick the lads that's been performing, then drip feed the new quality when we need them. It's up to them to keep the shirt. Jack was the best defender on Saturday up the Ramble. Fair dues, Dino. Fair dues. Can't argue that, to be fair. Yeah, I think similar in terms of the team that I've picked. I don't know if I've got it here as just as a standalone graphic yet. I have. So this is the team I've gone with for a reminder. Peck and Sousa in the middle there. Let me take Dino's comment off screen. So Peck and Sousa in the middle it gives you more balance than I think Sousa and Chowdhury does. But also then you can bring Hamer into the 8. Where if you want to bring Peck off, if Peck's been up and down all game, say 70 minutes, you can move Hamer into Peck's position, bring Brereton Diaz on. You can move Hamer into O'Hare's position and bring O'Hare off and bring Brereton Diaz on, for example. You can bring Sousa off for Chowdhury. You can bring Cannon off for Campbell. I think there's so many things. You can, obviously likes to bring Burrows off for McCallum and freshen things up. I think it's great to have so many options now, and that is the thing, isn't it? It's what we can do, not necessarily what we will do, because it's what we can do now. Mark says Peck in the middle, Hamer on the left, O'Hare central, and Raksaki on the right, with either Campbell or Cannon up top. Either for me. So yeah, we're pretty similar on that then, Mark. Jake says, is Sariki back for Leeds? I believe the update was, so not this game. Tom Davis is back in contention for this game, likely on the bench if he makes it that far. If so, I'd start with Gilchrist and Sariki coming off the bench. Gives the defensive and attacking option at right back. Depends on how we deal with their width. Yeah, I think it's such a shame that we've got the 6 loan situation, because you could do that with Gilchrist and Clark this time, couldn't you? If we had 5 instead of 6. But I think whoever the right back is, the other one will miss out, unfortunately. Ian says, if we're going to drop any defenders after yesterday's game, it's got to be Nell and Clark. Jackie Longthrow did very little wrong. Lee says, Mr. Ramble on the road. Mr. Ramble on the road. Just have a round of applause. Peck and O'Hare would be on to replace Hamza and Raksaki, with Gus moving to play off the right side and O'Hare in the middle. Nice. Actually, now we've got you on, Lee. I wonder what you're thinking about the championship fixtures this week. So another little thing that we've started doing on the warm-up is Platinum predictions. So this is this week's Platinum predictions for our championship game week 32.
So, Blades, I've got Coventry v QPR for the midweek prediction. Nothing separating these two sides in the division. 12th v 13th, both on 41 points, so expecting a really tight game. Frank Lampard's Coventry City 2, QPR 2.
I've got the score prediction for Derby versus Oxford. An interesting one. I always remember Oxford and Derby for the Maxwell saga. And a certain Dean Saunders was transferred from Oxford to Derby. One of the most dodgiest transfers ever going. Look into it. Anyway, this is going to definitely be a 0-0. Both teams happy for a point, both looking to survive in the Championship. If you're looking for a ball fest or a cure for insomnia, go and watch this game.
I thought Pompey were really, really good at the lane today. I've not been impressed with Cardiff this season, but the reverse fixture finished 2-0 to Cardiff. I think this one will as well, but I think it'll be in favour of Portsmouth. 2-0 Portsmouth.
Howdy Blades. So this week I've got Watford versus Leeds, and despite Watford getting probably a decent point on the road at Sunderland, and probably looking back at a game they should have won, they have only won one in their last 6. Leeds, on the other hand, have only lost once in their last 6, and that was the FA Cup at the weekend. But I can't see them not getting the 3 points here. I think it's Leeds' to lose, so I'm going to go 2-1 to Leeds.
So the games I've got to preview coming up is Norwich versus Preston. Neither teams are in good form. Pretty rubbish, really. I'm going to give Norwich a 2-0 win. Still no Borja Simons in their team, but Josh Sargent's the man. He's the man that's back in the team after an injury ravaged year, so he's going to get the goals for Norwich.
Hey up Blades, I'm here to predict Bristol City versus Stoke. Now everything to me seems like it's going to be a Bristol City win. Bristol City are good at home. They've not actually lost at home since Burnley and Sheffield United in November. So I think Burnley are going to win it, and Stoke have apparently lost their main man up front. Jury's still out on that one. So I think it's going to be 2-1 to Bristol City.
Hi everyone, so I'm predicting Burnley versus Hull. Burnley don't score any, don't concede any, but because I'm a Blade, there's only one result. Burnley 0, Hull 1. Up the Tigers, come on. Bye.
Bye.
Plymouth and Millwall. My local team, Plymouth, haven't won in 6 games. Bottom of the league. Millwall seem to be better away than at home. I'm going to go for Plymouth 2, Millwall 1.
My game is Sunderland versus Luton. Sunderland are carving out results and putting in decent performances, whereas Luton, surprisingly after last season, are lingering at the bottom of the table and aren't putting out any good performances. So my prediction is Sunderland 3, Luton 1.
Alright, Blake. Predicting Swansea versus Wendy's. Just seen Swansea get a really good win against Bristol City. Wendy's having recently lost versus the West Brom. So going to go 1-0. Be a close game this of the Blades.
Blades v Middlesbrough. I think it'll be a tie game. I think we'll have enough. I think it'll be close. There'll be a small rotation in our team. They've only won one of the last 5. They're not in great form. 2-1 Blades.
Hi all, just a quick prediction from me for the West Brom Blackburn game. Both teams going into this game not in great form. Blackburn 1 win in the last 5, West Brom 2 wins in the last 5. So I think it'll be a 2-1 home win for West Bromwich Albion. Up the Blades!
Thank you, chaps, for your help with that. Those are some of our Platinum Ramblers giving their score predictions for the Championship this week. I always find it, because I am very sort of tunnel focused on Sheffield United. And unless they're direct rivals, I knew Leeds were playing, I knew Burnley were playing, I knew Sunderland were playing. Other than that, I have no idea. So that gives me a nice little reminder of where things are. And the lads kindly have done their research and let me know, like, I didn't realise Borough were in such poor form, and it's good to know. It's good to know that, as much as we're sort of not fearing them coming, but think they're a really strong test, and they are, they're not in the best of form. So that may well play into our hands a little bit. Let's hope so anyway. Scotty says, I got Connor gritting his teeth during the Millwall watch-along. I called him on a comment he made in his walk-along saying Leeds rotation squad gets top 6. Roll on Millwall and they lose 2. Yes, Scott, yes. Well said, pal. Love it when we catch him out like that. He loves to catch us out, doesn't he? Or me particularly. So, there'll be loads more. He's rung me today about wanting to do more together because it's been a really good collaboration between both channels. We've grown from it. We've got some Leeds fans come over here now. He's getting a lot of good feedback about the content that we bring to his channel as well. So it's worked really well. I just hope we can finish above him because I don't think I'll be able to stand the stick that I'll get. Dino says that was miles better than Cannon. Oh, hang on. Who was miles better than Cannon when he came on? That's not a slur on Cannon, by the way. Him off the bench, he's up to speed. Same with Holding, up the Ramble, up the Blades. Let me just see what you said last time, Dino, just so we can make sense of your comment. Because that's far apart from your previous one. No, can't see it. Can't see it. I'm not quick enough. I'm Andy the Blade son as well, so I'm not the most tech savvy. Michael says, not sure about Holding. He wasn't a centre-half being mentioned in the transfer window. He's hardly played for Palace. I would have preferred Dunn at QPR and go back for Suter in the summer. I understand that, Michael. And look, Holding is on loan. So if it doesn't turn out to be a good to very good signing, it may not be made a permanent deal anyway, and we would still, I'll be amazed if we don't at least entertain or look into the Suter deal in the summer just because of the impact he had at the club. I believe he's out of contract at the end of the season as well, which would be a real coup if we could get him. So we've got what we've got. So whether you'd have preferred Dunn or Suter or Tanganga, which a lot of people have, I'm happy with Rob Holding, and I appreciate he's not played many games. And a lot of people are saying he's not match fit enough. How does he get match fit? How does he get match fit? You play matches, don't you? And I understand the concerns about it. I think a stronger argument is that Robinson doesn't come out of the team. So it's very unlikely Anel gets dropped despite his poor form. Whether that's something we need to be addressing or not, I'm not sure. Excuse me. So we'll see. Oh yeah, Rian. Sorry, Rian played miles better. Says Dino. Jake says Hamer isn't a winger. Don't get me wrong, he's still quality there. But to get the best, he's got to be alongside Sousa or in the 10, linking and bringing the best out of our wingers. I agree, Jake. I agree with that point. But from that position at the weekend, he created a goal for himself out of nothing. He also was involved in the winner, ultimately. It was like the second assist, weren't he, or something like that. He was certainly involved in the build-up. So he is significantly contributing to us from that position, and he's been playing there the vast majority of the season for us. I think he's sort of making it his own a little bit. I still think Brereton Diaz has that position when he's up and firing. That's certainly why Brereton Diaz were brought in, to move Hamer further inside. I think we've potentially gathered a load of good players, and now is the real struggle to fit them in. And it's a great problem to have, but it's a real problem that we've got. So if you move Hamer inside off the left, you put Brereton Diaz on the left, you put Hamer inside somewhere. If it's in the 10, you drop in Callum O'Hare, because Callum O'Hare can't really, and I know he does a job, but he's not as flexible as other players. You could put him out on the right, you could put him over on the left, but we've got Brereton Diaz there. Raksaki did really well when he came on. I don't think Hamer goes anywhere but the 10. And if you move him backwards, then you definitely drop in Chowdhury, Peck, Tom Davies when he comes back. And Hamer comes in for them all. Hamer's our best player, first name on the team sheet, alongside Michael Cooper. But it's a difficult one where to fit him in, because he's that good that he can do a job in more than one position. So you're right. There's an argument to say put your best player in his best position, but a lot of people think we're already over-reliant on Hamer. If he plays in the 8 or the 10 and becomes the talisman for the team, it's great in some ways, because obviously, hopefully, he plays well and leads us to victories. But it's a team game, isn't it? And I want us to be strong all over the pitch. Matthew says, I do think Peck should start. However, when Hamza and Sousa played together against Derby, no one was saying they can't play together. Agreed. I think the formation threw everyone in the team off. Potentially, Matthew, there's also the argument that we were away from home at Derby and were expected to counter more and absorb a bit more pressure and go. That's why it's been mentioned previously tonight that against Borough, I think Riff said maybe the two central defensive midfielders, Hamza and Sousa, might work because Borough are a good side. So they might have more possession and we might have to be a little bit deeper. I'm all right with it as long as we've got a 10 on the field, and obviously we didn't have that against Portsmouth. Jake says, I think Anel doesn't work well with Robbo. I don't think they fully understand each other's game. I see Robbo as a demotivator than a motivator. Feel he spits the dummy out a lot. Yeah. Oh, Skiddy, thank you so much for the super chat. Very much appreciated, pal. I don't get why people get angry with Wilder. How is he supposed to know what works well and what doesn't if he doesn't try different starting 11s? Very well said, and it's something I look. But I'm always conscious. As much, it's a little bit like the Jack Robinson thing. I don't dance around it, but I feel like I have to sort of caveat things sometimes because people know how I feel. So when I'm about to say something about Jack Robinson, I might say, you know how I feel about Jack Robinson, blah, 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 and I'll go on to make my point. I do the same with Wilder, but the opposite way, because people know how much I love Chris Wilder and think I wouldn't rather have anybody else. So I criticised him on 90 after 90. More for not taking responsibility and sort of putting it more on the players. I think sometimes it could reflect and take a little bit of the heat off the players, whether he believes he's in the wrong or not. But what I also wanted to get across, without sort of seeming like I'm circling back to pander to him, is people have been crying out for two up front. Try Cannon and Campbell together. I said it with Man Mountain last night. We tried it and it didn't work. None of us, before the game, if you've seen Lee's Ramble on the road, everybody that he spoke to before the game doing predictions, particularly after the teams came out, we were all very confident with the team. We're all very happy with the team. So it's very easy then after the fact to say, why didn't he play Peck instead? Why didn't he play Peck from the start? Why didn't he play Raksaki from the start? Tom Cannon shouldn't be playing. It should be Campbell on his own. It's easy to say after the fact, isn't it? So I'm with you, Skiddy, and thank you again for your super chat. It's very, very much appreciated. Scottish Blade says, worry not, Jim. I'm okay, Scottish Blade. Hope you are too. As long as you stay well away from Bramall Lane for the rest of the season, I'm all good, pal. Oh, he's here again. I'll not be down for the Borough game. So 3-0 Blades. Yes, mate. Thank you. Love that. Dino says that doesn't make sense. And Nell hasn't been our best defender at all. Robbo has been. So how are you playing your best player? You're talking about form, aren't you, Dino, I suppose? And which is, again, very fair. I'm talking about ability. I think if you line all three players up, Anel, Rob Holding, and Jack Robinson, and you ask any Premier League team, which two of these would you want in your squad? None of them are picking Jack Robinson. I think if you look at, I think in the top 6 championship team, does Jack Robinson get in? I don't think so. It might be okay that he's had a decent game against Portsmouth, a decent game. So he was the best of a bad bunch against Portsmouth. Does that mean he is the one that definitely stays in and takes us forward? I don't think he's good enough overall. I have to say that. And you know how I feel about him. And again, that's just my opinion, pal. I think I'm talking about overall ability rather than the last game's performance, personally. So I think Anel and Rob Holding are better defenders than Jack Robinson. Evening, Jimmy says, LA Blades, my team against Borough, Cooper, Gilchrist, Anel, Robbo, Burrows, Raksaki, Peck, Hamza, O'Hare, Hamer, and Campbell. Yeah, nice. Up the Ramble, up the Blades, like and subscribe. Chef Paul says 2 DMs didn't help us on Saturday as Portsmouth ripped us a new one. Middlesbrough will exploit our weaknesses if Wilder doesn't make changes. He will. He will definitely make changes, won't he? Not just because it's a 3-game week, which might be his reasoning, but he will definitely make changes, no doubt about it. Jake says Coops, Gilchrist, Holding, and Ellen Burrows. Yeah, that's mine as well too. Sousa and Hamer, BBD, O'Hare, and Raksaki. and Cannon up top. Okay. So instead of instead of Peck, you've kept Brereton Diaz in. That's the only difference to my team, then, isn't it? It brings the Hamer, Callum O'Hare link as well, as Hamer's doing what Blaster did and linking play as well as scoring from deep. Yeah, I see the logic in it. Jimmy, do you now think it's a 3-horse race now that Sunderland drew at home to Watford? It's their second home game in a row that they've drawn previously, drawing at home to Plymouth. Yeah, they've a bit of a dip, haven't they, Michael? But with 15 games to go, I'm certainly not writing them off. Not a chance. Not a chance. I think there's still 4. And I think Sunderland are clinging on a little bit. We've now got a 5-point gap to Sunderland, which is really good. If you sort of push it out to 8, then yeah, they're drifting out there. They're drifting away then. Surprise addition on the bench, Andy the Blade. As long as he wears coloured boots, says LA Blades. He didn't wear coloured boots. No way. Matt Blade says, hi, Jimmy. Got an email from Academy asking if we can accommodate young players and give them a place to stay. Must be a load coming from abroad or something. Imagine have the next Billy Sharp in your house up the Blades. Nice one, pal. Nice one. That's really good. You'll have to let us know a bit more about it. That you're able to, obviously. I'm not expecting to know the kids' date of birth and what I had for breakfast, but you know what I mean? That'd be really good. Chris says, Cooper, Gilchrist, Holding, Anel and Burrows, Vinny and Peck, Hamer / O'Hare, Tyrese and Brewster. All right, okay. So, right. So is that a front 2 then, Chris? Are you going 2 up top, or is Tyrese out wide, or Brewster not up top? H from Steps says, agree with your side. Hamster. Hamer may be a good player, but not as good as Peck. Oh, the Blades. Oh, is the Blades through and through? Yeah, not as... Peck has adopted as his second team. Absolutely right. No tragedy there, H from Steps. Riff said, I need to know some more Steps songs because I need to be ready for these puns. I just don't know enough about Steps. So sorry, H. I wasn't a huge fan growing up, but I'll be sure to do my homework next time. Riff says, Robinson was the best defender on Saturday for sure, and that block to put off the shot near the end keeps him in my team. My worry is confidence level. Should we drop him after that? Okay, that's fair. No Piro, no party. Our resident Leeds supporter says, just booked our hotel and train tickets for the Leeds Sheffield United fixture. It's a Sheffield United Leeds fixture. Let's be right. Can't wait. It'll be good and exciting game. I hope so, pal. I hope so. I must admit, watching that game yesterday, I was dreading the Leeds game, I have to say. Riff says, if he played useless like most of his normal games, I would say drop him for Holding, but can't do it when he was one of the better players. So Riff's keeping him in on form, and I think that's a more than a fair argument. It's just Brewster would be my counter to that. Brewster has played the odd game where he's played very well. I think he had a great cameo performance. Do you say the same about Brewster? Does he come in for Tom Cannon and Tyrese Campbell because he was better than both, arguably, when he came on? How? I would not be playing Ryan Brewster over Tom Cannon and Tyrese Campbell. Nobody said start Brewster, and he did really well to set up the goal. And I thought it looked dangerous throughout when he came on. But people know that he's patchy, and he isn't overly reliable. And I would say the same about Robinson, personally. Paul Rose of... where's my banner gone? Where's my banner? That's no good. Got to show the sponsors some love. This is Paul from Wellstone Landscapes. If you're wanting a quote on your landscaping project, Paul is your man. Paul is your man. And tell him you've come from the Ramble. He'll give you 10% off the quote. Got to start quick against Borough, he says. Slow sideway passing must-win game for me, as Luton afterwards won't be easy, and then it's Leeds. So need to keep the pressure on. We have got 3 really tough games, haven't we? Back-to-back here. Borough at home, Luton away, Leeds at home. Season defining. Not to put too much pressure on us, but wow. Chef Paul says you need to rename him the Whispering Cowboy Paul. So I could barely hear him. I thought same when I was watching it back then with you guys. Maybe my speaker had a wobble. No, I think he was very, very quiet. He's a delicate kind of guy. Andrew says Jamie Dumpling's got a big shower curtain. Oh no. Jimmy, can I remind you that Portsmouth came to the lane with a horrendous away record and nearly rolled us over? It will be a difficult game against Borough, but I still think Blades have enough. 1-0. You can remind me all day long, Paul, and I'm trying to move past it, but thank you for bringing me back round to reality. Jack says, what's this going to be like, Jack? Because I know you can. Come on, Come on. I think Wilder needs to be brave with his choices against Borough, because that display against bottom team was eye-opening. He has to pick against our bottom team was eye-opening. He has to pick his best team, even if that's leaving people out. Also, no point bringing in a winger just to play him on the right. Not the appropriate use of wingers is unbalancing our attack, in my opinion. Andrew comically says Desraki needs to be started because he brings balance to that right-hand side. I'd bring Gilchrist. Shout out to Andy the Blade. Thank you, Dad, for always making me laugh. I'd bring Gilchrist back in, BBD on the left, Hamer next to Vinny, and O'Hare in front, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Top man, Jack says, but in Wilder we trust. He definitely didn't think, well done, lads. He'll be telling them now that it's not an acceptable performance. No, it's not. Jake says, when Hamer and O'Hare played at Cov, what positions did they play? So O'Hare, I believe, was in the 10 and Hamer was in the 8 behind him. Common misconception that Hamer was the 10. He wasn't. But I still think he'd be very, very good in the 10. Matthew says, Cooper, Gilchrist, and L holding Burrows, Raksaki and Brereton Diaz on the wings, Hamer and Sousa in the middle, O'Hare in the 10, and Cannon up top. Yeah, good team, that. Good team. I think it's time we see Hamer in the middle and use 2 actual wingers. So you're bringing in then, who's your actual wingers, pal? You've got Raksaki as 1. Would you class Brereton Diaz as 1? Is your mother well? Says, I love you, cuz. Thanks, cuz. Appreciate that. I love your support. Or a bit like a high school throwaway sort of pushback, weren't it? Didn't mean it to sound like that. Common Boy from Bangladesh says, you guys need a good centre-back. I can never say this lad's name. Face is available from Leicester if you want him. We'll pay you to buy him. Please take him. So you clearly don't rate him, pal. There's obviously no way we can get him now because the window is closed, but I'll have Harry Suter from you instead, if that's okay. The biggest difference will be the bench. Their impact could be vital. I agree, Chris. Can you guys give some tips to us how to defend Borough or Derby? We're going down, so I guess give us tips from a Leicester fan. We've not been great, to be honest. Look, we're not woeful at all. We're second in the league. But you should... My tip would be, honestly, and I don't want to tell you this, but it's true, keep Harry Suter. Keep Harry Suter, and you'll be fine defensively in the Championship. He's an absolute unit. He's a rock. But if he's out of contract and we're in the Premier League, hopefully we're a big enough pull then to get him. Reach for the stars. Meant Charge is not as good as Peck. Thank you. No, that's S Club H. That's S Club. Sorry, mate. Come on. 4 at the back says Drew, Gilchrist and L, Robbo and Burrows. The 2, Hamer and Vinny. The 3, Brewster, O'Hare and Raksaki. Interesting. 1 is Campbell. Yeah, okay. So you are really running with the difference maker. Other than Peck, you're running with the difference makers, aren't you, Drew, from the game. Russin says, Anel's restricted from ball carrying into midfield, which gives us an extra body in there due to the fear of leaving Jackie Longthrow isolated. That's an assumption from us, isn't it? I do agree, but that's an assumption. We seem to start playing from the back with Jack Robinson a lot, and that scares me. I agree. He also looked reluctant to pass to Harry Clark, I thought, as well, Anel. Anel had a shocking game himself, so there's no excuses, but it's interesting to see the dynamics. I'll try and work them out. When all's well, Anel flies, says Dino, but when the going gets tough, he can spit the dummy out and hide. Robbo steps up. Anel is the better player, just not at the minute. That's absolutely very good point. More than fair. And I'd struggle to argue against it, Dino, to be fair, pal. Riff says, I've gone with BBD as a sort of false 9 centre forward in my head. We play a beautiful pass and move football with runners running beyond our centre forward, who can also do a bit of everything else when it calls for it. Yeah, it's a good shout, actually. I don't mind that at all. And again, that's more evidence towards us having such strength in depth. It's a flexible squad now, isn't it? We could go with, we could feasibly line up with that formation that Riff's talked about there. We could go with 4-4-2. We could go with 3-5-2 because we've got the players to do it. 3 at the back, Burrows and Clark probably as wing backs. It can work. Nige says, same team for me, but drop Campbell and bring O'Hare in. Campbell is an impact sub. That's where he's best utilised, and that's not a dig at him. I like him as a player. Clark's had 1 bad game and 1 good game. Same for Chowdhury. I didn't think Chowdhury were that bad. I just thought he was quite ineffective. I saw a couple of people slating him, and that's fair, but I didn't think he was that bad. I thought one of the balls they played down the right channel for Clark to chase was absolutely sublime. Darby says, Gilchrist needs to start, in my opinion. Clark is a good attacking player, but I haven't seen much defensively, which is a worry. I agree. I think we'll be under the cosh a little bit from BORO, and I think Gilchrist is the better man to start. Rest of our centre forwards are a bit more one-dimensional, in my opinion, who plays to their strengths. My team would be Cooper, Gilchrist, Anel holding Burrows, says Jack. Sousa and Hamer in the middle. BBD left. Desraki on the right. O'Hare and Cannon. That's a thing now, isn't it, Desraki? I love it. Common Boy from Bangladesh says, Harry Souter is good, but we are playing a 38-year-old club legend who can't run. We might bid for Hamer if we stay up. Even Hamza is better than Vardy. Yeah, I expect Gus to go, to be honest, if we don't go up. If you stay up and we come up, we won't sell him. If you come down and we stay down, you won't get him. But if you stay up and we stay down, then you've every chance. Drop Diaz, bring Raksaki in too, says Nige. John says, remember when I played one season, we brought in 4 top players and it took us weeks to gel, but when they did, they were on fire and won the league, so let's not panic. Have we got enough time, John? Things are that tight at the top. Nobody's really dropping a lot of points. I know there was one week, weren't there, where we all dropped points when Leeds and Burnley played each other. But it's very tight lines at the minute. Shout out to Lee for his vlog. Well worth a watch. Thank you to Paul for his shout out there. I'm going to give it another plug, to be fair, because I thought he did an absolutely superb job. That's Lee's Ramble on the Road, the latest edition. Absolutely loved it. Thank you, Lee, again for your support with that, pal. Really, really good. Really enjoyed it. And they're a pleasure to put together, to be honest. Jack says, I'm torn between who to leave at home, because if we need that attacking threat, Clark could be good. But for a solid holding in midfielder, Hamza would be our guy, especially with Gilchrist. You can't leave Hamza at home. Not a chance. Not a chance. Peck to come on if BBD isn't cutting it and Hamer moves back onto the left. Yeah. Common Boy says, if we come down, no one's joining us. I don't get how we defeat Spurs and are still going down. Spurs going to donate you guys 3 points next season too. Let's hope so. If we go up. So that is it for today's Ramble. I'm now at the end of the comments. So thank you to everybody that's contributed tonight. That is the warm-up. What are you feeling? What's your score prediction? I'm going to go for a squeaky 1-0. 1-0 United, and I'll take it all day long. The next time you'll see me will probably be, I would assume, Tuesday morning, because I'm on Hot Topic tomorrow night with the Ramblers. And then I assume it's press conference Tuesday morning. If it's Monday morning, you'll see me tomorrow morning. I'm assuming Hot Off the Presser will be on for Tuesday morning. Then on Tuesday night, we're over on Behind the Ramble for a bit of rivals watch along. Watford against Leeds, myself and Dodgy Motson, as my dad calls him. Jord Motson. So, and happy birthday to Jord as well. It's his birthday today. So, yes. So, join us there if you can. Matthew's saying 5-0. Laugh out loud. Ian's going 2-0 Blades. So, yeah, looking good. Fingers crossed. We've won 2 on bounce, haven't we? Not been very convincing, but we've won 2 on bounce. See if we can make it 3. So, for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade!